Today's top tip is Situational Leadership, a model by Hersey and Blanchard that, well, I first came across in the early 1990s, and it's stuck with me ever since, primarily due to its simplicity and understanding. It's really, really useful. So over green tea, we'll just bring up the one slide that we're going to have a look at today. And let's talk you through. Okay, this is Blanchard and Hersey's situational leadership model. You may have come across other slightly different versions of it. There's all sorts that have been adapted over the years. I like this one in particular because it's talking about the situation in various different formats: situation 1, situation 2, situation 3, and situation 4. You can see in the 4 squares there. If you've been on a middle manager's leadership course, there's a very good chance that you will have come across Blanchard and Hersey's situational leadership theory. It is used widely by trainers and popular with managers because of its clear advice on how to lead staff. The basic theory suggests that as a leader, you need to provide a combination of direction. If you have a look at the bottom slide, directive behaviour, and then going across the vertical axis, you've got supportive behaviour. And support requires that you provide encouragement and personal support as people need in order to complete a job or a task. So if you have a look at the box situation 1, S1, you can see that the types of behaviour as a leader that you might be using at that point is very directive. So it's high directive behaviour, directing somebody to do something. It's fairly low in its supportive behaviour because you're expecting somebody to do exactly what it is that you're telling them to do. And the readiness aspect is really important from a delegate perspective. Generally speaking, high commitment, new to a job, new, quite exciting, ooh, let's try something different, low competence because they don't currently know what they're doing. If we look at situation 1, we can also see in an emergency situation, say there was a fire, you wouldn't expect to have a discussion around what you do next. If somebody says, get out of the house, the roof is falling in, you go and you do it immediately. So you can see how different situations will require a different type of behaviour from the leader. Situation 2 is when you as a leader are becoming much more coaching in your approach to teaching somebody what to do or encouraging somebody what to do. It's still quite highly directive because you're still imparting some knowledge here, but the behaviour is much more supportive too. So you're encouraging people to have a go for themselves. And at this point, your delegate is having some competencies and some ability to do the job, but maybe still a little unsure as to whether he or she can do this and needs quite a lot of high encouraging language to support that person. When we get to the 3rd situation, the delegate is much more likely to be fairly competent at what it is that they're doing, but still a little unsure as to whether they can go the whole hog. And at this point, you might actually want to say to them that, you know, go away and have a go by yourself. Of course you can do it. Just let me know if you're struggling and we'll step in and work through it with you. And you can see how then you're giving them the opportunity to have a go, giving them the opportunity to try it out for themselves without having to worry about failing and you not being there if things don't go quite according to plan. And finally, when we get to situation 4, where actually your delegate has high competence and high commitment, really doesn't want you breathing down their neck any longer, and wants to have a go for themselves, in which case you do still need to be there in the background, but it's very low directive, very low supportive behaviour, but still an element of encouragement, because without encouragement, obviously, people don't get noticed. And that's a really important part of any managerial or leadership role, isn't it? So the 4 approaches that you can adopt: directing, where you provide high levels of direction but low levels of support; coaching, where you provide high levels of both direction and support; supporting, where you provide high levels of support but low levels of direction; delegating, where you provide low levels of support and low levels of direction. It's important to note that followers do not progress through the model from directing to delegating in a linear fashion. As new tasks are delegated, the role of the leader is to identify what types of support, if any, the member of staff requires to successfully complete the new task. What's great about this is it gives you a framework to identify what you need to know and understand from the people who work for you, and identifying the task that you want to be completed and what skills are needed in order to complete that properly. Then combining the knowledge of your staff, their experience, existing workload and priorities to select a person to do the job. Of course, it does mean that we need to use open and closed questions to assess how well somebody is understanding the task and how confident they are about completing the job. And you have to make a decision based on the answers that you get and your initial judgment about the suitability of the person for the task. Nevertheless, it's really a wonderful opportunity for you to work through with your team, identifying what they might need for the future, what skills they might need for the future, those of which you can do yourself to support them, and those that actually you may need to bring other people to do it for you. So coming back to me, this is a nice short one for today's top tip. I'm going to get back to my green tea and look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a go at using the Hersey and Blanchard's model. I found it particularly useful when I was in a new position as a regional controller at Newlock and wondering why it wasn't going to plan. When I found out about this, it really worked. We talked it through, the whole team talked it through, we understood where we were coming from, and we started moving from the directive position through to delegating over the course of 18 months, and it worked well for that team. So that's over for me today, and I'll see you again another tea break time. Take care.